intensely searching for an original sin.
Is this chapter 2? Yes, I think it is. Oh no, I don't. Is it? I can't even tell. Mid-February 1864. I slid the door open and met a breath of cold morning air. Clumps of thick clouds trundled silently over the city, an unusually strong wind driving them along. Give me a second. It's cold already? I shivered a bit and grabbed the jacket from near the door to wrap around myself. A week had passed since I began living in the headquarters of the Shinsengumi. I was given a room of my own, but they made it clear that I wasn't to roam freely. They weren't the best accommodations, but given how close I was to being murdered by them, instead, I thought it best not to complain. Still, do I really need to dress like this all the time? I sighed, staring at my feet on the cold floor. They'd given me temporary accommodations, but it wasn't without its strict conditions.
お前の身柄は新選組預かりとする。が、女として屯所へ置くわけにはいかねえ。新選組にかくまわれている女がいる。そんな話が万一にも広まれば、よくねえ勘繰りをする奴も出てくる。それに、噂を聞いて行動さんを狙っている奴らが、お前まで狙い出すかもしれねえ。もちろん、行動さんが狙われていると確定したわけじゃねえがな。こういう不確定要素が多い現状で、迂闊な行動は取れねえってことだ。だから、お前には断層を続けてもらう。面倒だろうが。
Clear. His reasoning was sound. Perhaps, more than that, I knew he was concerned not only for the Shinsengumi, but also for the safety of my father and myself. I didn't have a choice regardless, but keeping this in mind made his orders more palatable.
それに、たとえ君にその気がなくとも、女性の存在は体内の風紀を乱しかねない。ですから私たち幹部のほか、大使たちへも君の事情は話しません。情報はそれこそどこから広まるかわかりませんからね。
I understand the situation, so what should I do while I'm here?
屯所じゃ何もしなくていい。部屋を一つやるから引き込む。
あれ？おかしいな。この子、誰かさんの故障になるんじゃなかったですか？
いいか、掃除。てめえは余計な口出しせずに黙ってろ。
Before long, I'd been here for a week. I guess I don't have much of a choice. No sense in dwelling on what I can't do after all. Although it was still a new sensation, I'd grow comfortable in dressing like a boy, particularly the feeling of wearing pants. I straightened up and touched the kodachi that Hiji had given back to me. This was a familiar friend of mine, the blade by my hip stretching back to as far as I can recall. According to my father, this was an important heirloom passed down through the Yuki clan. As such, I was forced to take lessons in swordplay, making me well aware of what the blade was capable of. I had never cared much for weapons. Weapons hurt people, which is an obvious factor, but it was more than that, at least to me. As far back as I could remember, any wounds I suffered healed at an incredible rate. Small cuts would disappear overnight. As a child, I thought nothing of it, but as I grew older, I began to realize that I was not quite normal. My father insisted it was a gift of the gods, but that I should tell no one of it. I didn't tell anyone, of course. I was afraid they would treat me like a monster if they knew. Ever since then, I'd done my best not to get hurt. I stayed as far away from the blade as I could, and before I realized it, I developed a fear of them. My constant need for disguise was frustrating, but my condition left me more unsettled. Still, that wasn't the only thing on my mind. The rank-and-file soldiers treated me coldly. I'm not just imagining it, right? I learned having a private room was a privilege, even for captains. For a child to arrive and receive better treatment than their own captains. No surprise, really, for the soldiers to hate me. True, I suppose I can't really blame them. I was enjoying the Shinsenagumi's hospitality, and so I felt I should help them in some way, but I knew nothing of soldiers and their ways. I gave as much effort as possible, despite Hiji's commands for me to remain in my room. How does one calm the lonely, restless mind? I think for the soldiers, whenever the captains or other officers would look out for me, it appeared as if they were giving me special treatment. They're just watching me. To make sure I kept my mouth shut. They took turns watching over me. Any mistake on my part would cause huge trouble, so they were making an effort to keep me contained. Even if I could speak with the soldiers, what conversations would we share? Nothing? My only respite from any possibility of detection would be to stay alone. Again. All I wanted for this, though, was to find my father. Even though they'd promised to help me, keeping me locked here without the ability to leave was no better than being tied up. Just when I felt like I'd made some progress into my journey, my search was kept to a halt. Perhaps I thought I could talk to Hiji if he would give me permission to look for my father? Oh no, that's right. Hiji just recently departed to Osaka. Well, if Hiji's not here, I wasn't sure what to do. Alright, guys! You have another choice. We could stay put, talk to someone, or search the compound. What bad idea should we go with? We got one for search. We got two for search. We got one for talk. So we've got we got a little bit of a tie here. The tie's going away. Oh no, the tie's ending. Looks like search is winning. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You guys managed to honestly keep it at a tie. Do I have to go get the bot? Hold on. Oh! And the winner is search. As I thought about it, I realized that I had no idea how the Shinsengumi compound was laid out. If I were to live here, I thought I ought to make an effort to learn. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and stepped out of the room. There's no one here? I looked around. The hall was utterly empty. Then again, since I'd snuck out of my room, it was probably for the best that no one had seen me. Still, I felt a little guilty about it. Perhaps I should have just stayed in my room. If I wandered around the compound, it was likely I'd see something I wasn't supposed to. I'd already stumbled onto one of the Shinsengami secrets the night I met them. I had no wish to do so again. Maybe I should reconsider? After more deliberation, I decided it was best to return to my room. But as I turned to walk back... Huh? From near the entrance, I heard something. I slowly peeked around the corner. Walking toward the door, looking as if they would prefer not to be seen, were Harada and Nagakura. Oh! Can I come with you? Maybe if they let me go outside, I could finally start looking for my father.
そりゃ別に構わねえが、お前は楽しくないんじゃねえかな。
連れて行けるかバカ。勝手に許可してんじゃねえよ。
ああ、外出禁止なんだっけな、お前。それより見張りなしで部屋から出てていいのか？
Well, where are you going anyway?
おいおい、ごまかすなよ。まあ、いいけどな。俺らはこれから島原に行くとこだ。
Shimbara, the district in Kyoto where one could find licensed courtesans, if it's also referred to as the red light district. Shimabara? The name was familiar. Wait, isn't that the red light district? The red light district, an area in which many geisha houses, brothels, and restaurants are located. Nagakura shook his head between us and sighed.
女の子に向かって島原に行くとか、わざわざ本当のこと言うなよ。
嘘つけねえんだよ、俺。知ってんだろ。考えに繰り出すくらい別にやましくもねえし。
お前は酒が目当てだろうから、後ろめたくもなんともねえだろうよ。
Nagakura, are you going for something other than alcohol?
いや、酒っていうか、なんていうか、ほら、お酒って言うだろ。
True, was likely no shortage of beautiful women throughout Shimbara. Someone like Harada, who visited just for the drinks, was a rarity, if I were to guess. But you're going in the afternoon?
真っ昼間から酒飲むのも男のロマンってやつなんじゃねえの？
Harada held a natural charm that seemed to shrug off any judgment or possible impropriety. Well, even so, I hardly think it's good to be drinking in the afternoon. Even if it was every man's dream, it didn't feel right to condone it. Two captains drinking during the afternoon would hardly help the Shinsengami's low public opinion. Then again, perhaps it wasn't my business to think of the Shinsengami's public reputation.
昼から遊び歩くのはあんまり常識的じゃないってお前の言うこともわかるんだけどよ。
Yes.
近頃の今日は何かと物騒なんだ。俺たち新選組だってうかつに夜遊びできねえ。
True.
だから常識に縛られず行きたい時に行く。真っ昼間から遊びに行くことを迷わねえ。
That really didn't seem right. But even so, on some level, his absurd logic made some sense. After all, everyone needs to relax from time to time, especially if they have the worries of the Shinsengami, and if they worked at night, then when else would they get to go out but the afternoon? I was reflecting upon this when Taudo walked in.
あれ？まさかお前も行くの？
Well, I still haven't received permission to leave the house. I don't want Hiji to get mad at me.
そっか。そいつは残念だな。
You're going to Shimbata too then, Tao?
ああ、そうだけど。で、東堂さんとか他人行儀な呼び方やめようぜ。
Well, then what should I call you then?
平助でいいよ。みんなも俺のこと平助って呼ぶし、これからしばらく一緒に暮らすんだしよ。それに、そのデスマスもやめようぜ。年も近いからもっと気楽に話してくれよ。
Really? I just didn't want to be rude, Tao.
ほら、治ってないぜ。
Alright then, hey.
そうそう。んじゃ、今日から改めてよろしくな。
Okay, it's a pleasure to meet you too, Hey. So we are literally just calling him Hey. Yes, we are. I know it's Hisuke, but it's funnier just to call him Hey. It wasn't anything important, I knew, but something about the exchange made me feel happy. Hey had perhaps unknowingly cheered me up. But you're still going to Shimbara then?
そりゃでも島原だから女ってわけじゃねえよ。みんなで酒飲んでバカ騒ぎしたい気分なんだ。
Oh.
お前が女の格好をしてくれるんならそれだけで十分に目の保養なんだけどな。
What?
あ、俺も絶対可愛いと思う。いろいろ落ち着いたら振り袖とか着てみせてくれよな。
You guys, this is all just so sudden. It was embarrassing for them to treat me like a girl all of a sudden, as if it just occurred to them. Dressed like a girl? What should I tell them? I want to say the first one. Not sure what else to do, I nodded awkwardly and then beamed back at them. When I get the chance someday, sound good? Oh, I think we
本当か
impressed him.
やったぜ
Oh, so the butterfly moon is when we impress one of the guys. So we impressed Hey.
約束だぞ忘れんなよ
Okay. I didn't need Hei's advice on how I should dress, considering it was something I looked forward to once I got the opportunity. So why did I feel so embarrassed? Once we settled the topic of the appropriateness of my wardrobe, Naga shared his opinion.
そういうわけでさしてくれよ
I'm doing it with them all now.
俺らは汗水垂らして今日の治安を守ってんだぜ
That's not very convincing. That's not a very convincing excuse. Despite my reservations, I understood the truth. They were partaking in normal activities for men. Besides, who was I to try and stop them in the first place? I certainly had no authority over them. While visiting pleasure quarters in broad daylight wasn't my thing, if their superiors took no issue, I was a guest of the Shinsengumi, and it would be rude of me to try and tell them what to do. But even so, they went out of their way to talk to me until I felt better about the situation. This showed they were good men, with nothing to hide. Alright. I suppose their reasoning made sense to me, and part of me was just envious of them. I too wanted to be free of the staleness in this compound and search for my father.
土産買ってきてやる。
you
何か
doing?
食べたいものあるか
Once I'm done with this. Even though I was still turning the issue at hand in my head, the thought of food made me salivate. Alright then, I'd like some tangerines. Maybe we could eat them together tomorrow afternoon?
そいつはいいな。わかったぜ。
土方さんから外出許可が下りたらさお前の好きなとこ連れてってやるから
Well, thank you. But, hey, you don't need to worry, alright? Even if you couldn't take me out now, it's the thought that counts. Thanks for cheering me up.
悪いなざっくら出かけてくるぜ
Just as I waved to send these three off,
おや、これからみんなで出かけるのかい
all of us nonchalantly turned our heads around to see Ino pacing towards us.
よりによって源さんかよ
おっと、こいつは参ったな。
They all refused to make eye contact and fell silent as I responded to a now in their stead. Well, I'm not going anywhere, but I had no idea what else to say. Were they expecting me to cover for them?
ほらあれだよ源さんあれみんなで素振りでもしようかなって
Hey quickly warmed to his excuse, as did Naga.
そうそれだ平介よく言った今日は天気もいいし風が暖かいからな
Yes, what they said. After hearing their excuse, and now
い
reacted.
やはや長倉くんたちは熱心だな。せっかくの機会だ。私も付き合わせてくれるかい？
He looked honestly happy, pleased with the dedication of his fellows.
それは
And then you all f***ed up.
そうきたか。
Seeing as they were hopeless in getting themselves out of this, I decided to lend a hand. You guys are really going to go train? Just then, Hay opened his mouth.
あー、ごめん。俺もみんなと素振りしたいけど、今日は先約があるから付き合えないんだった。
Plans?
こいつに豚書の中を案内してやるって約束。そうだったよな。
It was news to me.
あー、頼む。話を合わせてくれ。
He gave me a desperate, somber look with his eyes like a sad puppy. I had no choice but to go along. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
ああ、そうそう。そうだよな。
His eyes sparkled and he grabbed a hold of my hand and began to walk off. Hay had cheered me up earlier after all. Perhaps in this way I was returning the favor?
待て、平介。一人だけ逃げようなんざ。
Before he could even finish, Harada interrupted, a mischievous grin appearing on his face.
俺も付き合ってやるよ。他の大使に絡まれちゃ面倒だろ。
Well, I suppose you have a point.
そうかそうか。原田くんの言うことはもっともだね。彼女のことは二人にお任せするとして。じゃあ長倉くん、我々は中庭に行こうか。
平介のみならず、お前も笠野。
His knuckles turned white and his face shook with exasperation.
よし、逃げぞ。
What?
新発さんすぐ怒るからな。
Hay grabbed my hand and Harada pushed me from behind, and soon we were moving away from the entrance at a rapid clip.
この裏切り者！戻ってこい！
Naga's shouts were echoing, but the laughter of the two men caused their eyes to sparkle in kind. It was infectious, and I couldn't help but laugh with them, my worries gradually drifting from me. After the commotion settled, Hay and Harada gave me the tour around the headquarters. Naga alternatively had no such luck. I heard later he and Anao spent the rest of the day training, just the two of them. At the end of the day, I think he's a good man. Time stood still, shadows drifting along my wall. How long am I going to do this? Solitude was proving detrimental to any glimmer of hope. My heart felt heavier with each moment. How lonely and wistful, forlorn mind can one become? I'd been swept up in a frightening world I didn't understand and couldn't possibly control. I can't possibly figure out what's happening to Father if I'm stuck here. Only Hiji can give me permission to leave, and he's gone. All I could do was wait. Lamenting things I couldn't change wouldn't improve my situation, and would arguably make it worse. I knew I couldn't trust the men at the Shinzengami completely. They were, after all, men who could take life in a blink of an eye. It would just be as easy for them to end my life. Well, at least they've all been nice to me for now. They're nice men deep down, right?
君さ、騙されやすい性格とか言われない？
What are you doing here?
あれ？もしかして気づいてなかったとか？この時間。
Sorry about that. Did you hear everything I said?
なん
I don't mean to do that. He heard me. He definitely heard me. I wanted to scream, but before I could open my mouth, Saito stepped out from behind the door.
掃除。無駄話はそれくらいにしておけ。
Wait, were you here the whole time too?
つい先ほど来たばかりだが。
Oh, thank goodness. I'm sorry for the screaming like
気
that.
にするな。そもそも今の独り言は聞かれて困るような内容でもないだろう。
Ah! It's true, I didn't say anything bad, but still. Well, I'm just embarrassed to be caught talking to myself. As Saito watched me fidgeting and mumbling, his eyes pierced right through me.
夕飯の支度が済んだのだが、邪魔をしただろうか。
No, nothing at
あん
all.
たと掃除の話に一区切りついたら声をかけるつもりだったんだが、放っておくと長引きそうだったからな。話の腰を折らせてもらった。
Saito shrugged shortly before we caught the sound of footsteps approaching us noisily. Hay shot through the door. The moment he saw us, however, his face fell.
ああ、ちょいちょい、はじめくん。何仲良くおしゃべりしてんのさ。
すまない。取り込み中だった。
もう、まあ仕方ないな。飯の時間なんだからさ、早く行こうぜ。食うものなくなっちまうよ。
Okay. And that's where we're gonna leave it. Oh, no. Don't do that. That's where we're gonna leave it. I know this was a bit of a short stream and we didn't finish all of chapter 2. But I am going to end it because again, I'm still not fully here today. Thank you guys for it, and I will see you guys the next stream. Bye guys! Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.